Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining me. We're going to make my favorite Saturday morning breakfast, blueberry buckwheat pancakes. These are vegan and gluten-free. My husband Wade was nice enough to create this recipe for me when I went vegan 10 years ago, and it did take some trial and error, he said, for about a year. So if you want to make these at home, I really encourage you to not substitute anything out to have great success. So let's get started. So for buckwheat flour, you want to make sure to, if you need to be gluten-free, that you get buckwheat flour only that doesn't have a pancake mix with buckwheat and wheat. So this is Arrowhead Mills. I love this brand, how easy it tells you gluten-free right there. It's kind of deceiving because we hear buckwheat, we think wheat, but it's not, it's gluten-free. So this can be found at Whole Foods and Jimbo's and, let's see, Lazy Acres, and also I get it at Ralph's. So anywhere that sells Arrowhead Mills, all right? So we're going to start with 1 1/4 cup buckwheat flour. And when you fill these up, this is the cup and 1/4 cup, make sure it's really, once it settles in, you might need to add more because you want to make sure you have enough flour. And this recipe will make 8 pancakes this size. Okay, so that's important to know. All right, so we're going to pour in our gluten-free buckwheat flour. And then we have our baking powder. Now it's really important on your baking powder to check the expiration date because sometimes if you don't bake often, it can expire and you really want it to be good so that your pancakes will rise. Otherwise they'll be hockey pucks. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons baking powder. I've already measured that out. And what really makes it is this cinnamon. So of course we get it at Costco in bulk, Kirkland, because we use a lot of cinnamon. 1 teaspoon cinnamon. So just those 3 ingredients, buckwheat flour, baking powder, not baking soda, and cinnamon. And then we're going to whisk it in the bowl, just the dry ingredients. Okay, very simple. And now we're going to move on to the magical vegan egg replacer, because a lot of people are like, what do you use for eggs for baking? So I am here to show you. So this awesome product is called Energy Egg Replacer, and it is only in the health food store, and it's actually on the shelf. It's not in the refrigerator section, okay? It's on the shelf in the Asian section. Can you remember that? Energy. And this is what it looks like. And it's basically potato starch, tapioca flour, and some leavening. So it has like a baking soda effect. So you want to make sure that you use this. We don't use a flax egg for this, but just for the greatest success of your pancakes. So we're going to use what's 2 eggs, and it will tell you how to do it on the box, but we're going to use 2 eggs, which is 1 tablespoon of the powder and 4 tablespoons of water. And I've already whisked it together. And that's, you can see, is going to be our egg. I know, it's very cool. You're new to the vegan baking world, all right? So we're going to add our egg to our dry ingredients and continue to whisk. All right. So this is a great recipe for the weekends when you have more time. I wouldn't recommend it during the week because it does take a little longer, but it's really worth it. And especially if you have other people to cook for, or you can also, you can freeze them. That's what my aunt does. She makes like a double batch and freezes them. Okay, so we're going to move on to some of our other wet ingredients. Let's see. We've got a tablespoon of olive oil. All right, and this is Bragg's. You can use any olive oil you want, and I do recommend olive oil instead of replacing it. And then we have agave, and agave is vegan. It's not honey. You can use honey if you're not vegan, but we're going to use this, and I recommend not using maple syrup for this one. So here's our organic blue agave nectar, also from Costco. And I want to double check. We do 2 tablespoons agave. And the other key component which makes it so tasty, like the cinnamon, is the vanilla. Gotta love the vanilla, excuse me. So we have vanilla from Costco. Love it. Makes everything taste better in the baking world here. All right, don't want to overdo my vanilla. Okay, let's see. So then we add, and I just want to get all of this egg. I notice I have a little bit more egg together. Okay, and then I'm going to add the plant milk so I can stir this a little better. So I use almond milk. This is just Simple Truth Organic, unsweetened almond milk. You can use any plant milk you want. This is very affordable. It's from Ralph's. Sometimes it's only $2.50 a carton. So we're going to do 1 1/4 cup plant milk. 1/4 cup here, handy. And I'll write this all out on the post so you don't have to remember it all. And then we're going to whisk it real good and let it sit for about 5 minutes. So you want to make sure you get all the lumps out. And then we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes, okay? And we're just going to fast forward, let that sit for 5. Really get all your lumps out though. Mine is not perfect yet. And then when you go to, basically you're going to fry them. So this isn't like a fat-free recipe, but it's a fun recipe, which is very important. Okay, so when you go to fry them, you're going to use a teaspoon of oil. And my husband Wade really recommends coconut oil. If you can't do coconut oil, if you're allergic or anything to coconut, you could use vegetable oil because olive oil, you'll be able to taste it, okay? But you're going to use a full teaspoon of olive oil and really saturate your pan on the stove, okay? And then to measure out the batter, you're going to use a 1/3 cup in our yummy batter over here, a 1/3 cup for 1 pancake. And you'll do 3 at a time, okay? And fry them about 5 minutes on each side. You'll be able to tell it'll start to get a little bit brown around the edge, and then you'll know to flip. And it does take some practice, okay? So don't get upset if it doesn't work out perfectly the first time. I think pancakes are a little tricky. But once you do it repeatedly, like anything else in life, you'll master it. So you're going to do 3 scoops at a time. And then when you're done frying on both sides, you will get these beauties. And then make sure that when you go to do your next 3 pancakes, that you oil your pan again, that you do another full teaspoon of coconut oil for your next 3, all right? And then you can just do fresh blueberries on it and maple syrup, but we like to make this blueberry compote that's very, very simple. And I'm going to grab it here off the stove and explain how to do this. Okay, so this is, I'm going to show you here. This is 1 heaping cup of blueberries, and I just get frozen organic blueberries from Costco. And it's 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. So you start with that, just those 2 ingredients first, and then stir it on the stove until the blueberries de-thaw, okay? And then you're gonna add in, I'm gonna put this down for a second, the arrowroot flour, which will help thicken it up a bit. And you're gonna do 1 heaping teaspoon of arrowroot. And it's from Bob's Red Mill, and you can get it, sometimes you can get it at Ralph's, just at the grocery store, because Bob's Red Mill has so many gluten-free products. And it's also, of course, in the health food store. But if you don't have arrowroot, you can use cornstarch or potato starch. It gives it a little thickness, but we really like the arrowroot. So then you can pour your blueberry compote on top. And so it already has some maple syrup in it, so you may or may not need more. You know, maple syrup does have a lot of sugar in it, so you don't want to go crazy with maple syrup whenever you use it. Okay, and that's it. So they are so awesome. The cinnamon and the vanilla really make them. So I hope you'll give it a try. And again, don't worry if it doesn't work out perfectly, but try it again and try to do it exactly the right ingredients and measurements, because it'll make a huge, huge difference. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous holiday weekend.